Hey guys, this is Sports with Dylan. MLB free agency is a go. Actually, it's been a go for like 2 months now. But big things finally just happened. So, today, being Sports with Dylan, it is my duty to talk about them. There were two major transactions in the past couple of days. Kicking it off with Juan Soto, one of the best players in the MLB, who is originally a Washington National, who played quite well. He was one of the reasons they ended up winning the World Series a couple years back. Then the Nationals fell off a cliff, traded away everyone around him, and finally traded Soto away to the Padres. The Padres were expected to be good this year. They have so many good players. You got Fernando Tatis, you got Manny Machado, you got Xander Bogaerts, and you got Juan Soto. This is supposed to be an amazing roster, but they just could not put it together this year. They just did not have it, and they missed the playoffs. And it wasn't even close. They weren't right on the brink. They missed it badly, even though, like I named, those are some of the best players in the MLB. I'd say all of them are top 25 players in the MLB. And yet, they still couldn't even make the playoffs. And the Padres have struggled like that quite a bit for a long time. Despite having a good roster, they just can't quite put it together. Now, over the offseason, just a couple days ago, about a week ago now, Juan Soto ended up being traded away from the Padres to the contending New York Yankees. Now, there's a couple reasons for this. First of all, the Padres might not see themselves as crazy contenders right now, which is weird given that they still have other good players. But they might just think, okay, let's shed this guy's salary, and then we can rebuild a bit. The weirdest part of it is the return. All they got were some other players that weren't that great. It was a disappointing return, and they didn't go for any picks, which leads me to believe they weren't exactly rebuilding, which brings in another theory plenty of people have. And this is not something that you'd ever see in any other major sports league because of the salary cap. But it sounds like the Padres owner doesn't have enough money to pay Juan Soto amongst all the other players and still sign more people in free agency. And that's what's weird about baseball. You see, there is no salary cap, which means that you can sign as many players to expensive contracts as you want. And the difference is, owners don't have an unlimited source of money. They do actually have a limit. Some teams have way more money because of their owner, while others have way less. It matters based on how much money the owner has. That can make the team more or less competitive. And the Padres owner just can't afford this, while the Yankees owner, who's very rich, can afford all the players he wants. Hence how he managed to acquire Juan Soto, because he's just fine. And that's one of the flaws in baseball, because it makes it so that there are few teams that are always very competitive, but a less wide range of teams. While in the NFL, there's pretty much unlimited money in the way that you've never seen an owner struggle to pay his players. Same thing for the NHL, NBA, whatever it is. But there is a limit. They can't make the teams too good. You can't sign the player to a massive contract all the time. You can't sign too many players to these massive contracts because of the fact that there's a salary cap, and you still need to be able to pay other players. So you're not running out of money in the same way, but you're still running out of space. But this also evens out all the talent in the NFL, given that each team has the exact same amount of money they can spend. And same thing for the NHL, NBA, like I said. Each team has the exact same amount of money they are allowed to spend, which means that once in a while they do have to let a great player walk. Even if the owner would have enough money to keep paying that guy, then they just don't. So this makes the Yankees a lot better of a team. After missing the playoffs last year, they have now pushed it up again. And with Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole, a couple other stars on their team, I suspect, sadly, as a Blue Jays fan, we will see them back in the playoffs this coming year. The other signing reflects quite a bit on the salary cap as well. That would be Shohei Ohtani, arguably by far the best player in the MLB. Someone who's won the MVP award, or the equivalent, many times, has been awarded in free agency by the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now wait for it. A $700 million contract for 10 years. Yes, you did hear that correctly. And if you didn't, I am going to repeat it. $700 million for 10 years. I'm sure you can do the math, but I'll do it for you. That is $70 million a year. Now, obviously, Shohei is now by far the highest paid player in the MLB. But not only that, he would be the highest paid player in the NFL. And it's not even close. Patrick Mahomes, who has the largest contract in the NFL, which is 10 years, is $450 million. And that's for Patrick Mahomes in the NFL, which is a way bigger league than the MLB, generating way more revenue than the MLB. And yet, he's only $450 million across 10 years. The highest average per year in the NFL is Joe Burrow, and that's still only $55 million a year. Don't get me wrong, these are some ridiculous amounts of money. $450 million across 10 years, $55 million a year for Joe Burrow. That's ridiculous already. But $700 million is unprecedented. It's ridiculous, really. Just to show how much bigger it is than the rest of the league, the next highest paid player in the MLB is Mike Trout at the Los Angeles Angels, actually, as well as where Shohei's former home was. He has a total contract value which is, or was the most in the league prior to Shohei's most recent contract, of $426 million across 12 years. Which averages out to $35.5 million a year. Now, don't get me wrong. Like I said, this is a ridiculous number. But it's still not even close. That's half of what Shohei is making. Even Aaron Judge, who is the highest paid player by year in the MLB, with a $460 million contract across 9 years, is still only making $40 million a year. And that is not a sentence you will hear me say very often. Still only making $40 million a year, which is, once again, crazy amount. But that's still $30 million less than Shohei. $30 million! And that explains why the Angels could not retain him. He was great for the Angels, but the Angels are actually a very similar team to the Padres. They were a team with two great players with Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, arguably the two best players in the league. But they just could never quite stay competitive. They missed the playoffs badly this year and the year before. And they could not afford to re-sign Shohei. And once again, it's not a salary cap thing. When you say that, at least to me, I think, oh, NFL, they don't have enough room because they're paying Mike Trout already quite a bit. But no, the owner physically can't afford it, and I don't blame him. $70 million a year. I'm sure they offered Shohei a great offer. But this is just ridiculous. And obviously this has been pushed up. There are other teams bidding on Shohei, so the Dodgers had to bid more. But still, how do you make this much money? It's just plainly ridiculous how much the Dodgers are giving him. But once again, Dodgers, just like the Yankees, are a very rich team. The owner is quite rich, so he can afford to pay players tons and tons of money to play for him. And this kind of thing happens. So once again, the Dodgers will be making it deep into the playoffs. The Yankees should be making it deep into the playoffs. Just because of the fact that, yeah, their owners are rich. Doesn't matter if they build up a team together or anything, because they can just steal players away from other teams once the owners can't afford them anymore, because they can always bid more. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys again soon.